What is up, my trendsetters? So the price of TAO has been extremely hard to watch. I definitely feel your pain. It is crucial that you at least understand the concepts that I'm about to speak about, so you understand what you're actually holding and the mistakes you should avoid. So in case TAO goes to $100 or $200 for a few weeks or months, you are not forced to sell a lot of tokens at low prices, because it's within this price range that if you accumulate, you are bound to make life-changing money. It's not by chasing at $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000 per coin. Right now is where you need to have your head down in books and learning every little corner of this ecosystem for you to actually thrive. Let's get to it. So to start off, you obviously need to look at the macro economy. And in my opinion, this is pretty favorable for us to have a bull run in 2026. The US government shutdown just ended a few weeks ago. And if you look at a few charts, last time we've had government shutdowns that ended, BTC followed a massive multiple 100% rally for the next few weeks or months, which is pretty interesting. We have Trump that announced publicly on Twitter that he's going to print a lot of money and actually offered $2,000 stimulus checks, similar to what happened in 2020 during COVID. Right after the government printed a lot of checks, real estate prices, crypto stocks, literally it was in everything bubble. You didn't have to be a genius to be up at that time. So this is something that is still possible, in my opinion, to have even more money printing. If you go on TradingView and you type M2 global supply in indicators, you are going to see that the global world supply is constantly increasing. You can actually overlay it on the price of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has been always following macro M2 supply. So whenever the money supply globally increases, Bitcoin tends to rise, which brings up all other altcoins. If you go on CME futures to see the interest rate predictions by the Fed, you are going to see that in 2026 and 2027, the interest rates are bound to drop, which is just favorable for enterprises, companies, businesses, governments to print more money, refinance their debt at a lower interest rate, because they have $9 trillion of national debt and the government only rakes in around $5 trillion in taxes. So they have a $4 trillion loophole that they do not know how to fill. And obviously the buyer of last resort would be the Fed, which would result in money printing, in my opinion, which would be favorable for cryptocurrencies ultimately. So in my opinion, if we look at the macro, it's pretty positive. It's all about staying patient. Prices don't follow macro perfectly. There's obviously manipulation, scams, all sorts of things. So it's really important to at least understand what is going on globally to not, fumble your bags if the price crashes 60%. Next up, we have the TAO Halving, which is scheduled for around December 13th, which is extremely interesting. It is the first halving ever for the bittensor network, and the TAO emissions would go from 7,200 to 3,600, which is a 50% drop. And if you just go on TAO app and you see the total money into subnets, it has been constantly climbing since the month of February of this year. So what do you think happens when there's less TAO in circulation? Institutions want a hold of subnets because there's a lot of narratives, there's a lot of milestones and achievements. They need to buy TAO first just to access the subnet market, which is a tremendous upwards buying pressure. If you look at Bitcoin's halvings in 2012, 16, and 20, there's always flush outs near the halving, either a bit before or after the halving, because it is designed to trick people. And if you look at what happened recently on October 10th, we had that gigantic wick on TAO, which brought us to 130 bucks, designed to trick you. And just before that, not long ago, we were close to $600. So there was a lot of people that bought in and they brutally got wicked out, and they're probably depressed right now. But it's in these times where you have to stay strong. You have to know your narrative, your macro, your micro, your subnet market to stay strong and just continue buying, continue learning. So now let me give you the 3 worst mistakes you could be doing if TAO is still in the 100s, 200, or even $300 for the next 6 to 12 months. Number 1, so do not have 100% or 90% of your net worth in TAO, because the worst position you could be in is that TAO keeps on ranging or slowly bleeding down because there's some market-wide panic, and you're gonna have to sell your tokens in the 100s or 200s just to watch it in the 2000s a couple years later. So if you're in a position where you're opening charts 200 times a day, if you're constantly on Twitter looking for people to validate your bags or your subnets, it probably means you are too overexposed. and it may be time to wind down, at least if we're in the 300s, maybe 15% of your position in case we go to the 150s or we revisit the wick lows or something of that nature, for you to have a small bag to cover your expenses. Number two is maintaining the same buy and hold and pray mindset. Guys, think a little bit outside the box. You are in the most revolutionary ecosystem of this decade, and you're telling me you're only gonna buy, hold, and pray? No, you need to switch your mindset to actually learning the basics of subnets, understanding the ecosystem, learning to mine, learning to maybe even validate for you to actually produce something. So instead of having a buyer's mindset, oh, let me buy this, let me buy that, ask yourself, how can I produce something within this ecosystem? Let me give you some examples. You can start mining on liquidity subnets and offer liquidity on various price positions for you to earn alpha tokens. You can submit subnet strategies on subnet 88. Subnet 18 incentivizes holding, so go look at the documentation, go read their GitHub, understand how the setups work for you to actually understand how to produce some TAO. Heck, even start your own YouTube channel and mine on subnet 93 like I'm doing. Guys, the opportunities are actually endless. If you close your tabs and you actually learn to produce on bittensor, you're going to see every crash like a whopping opportunity for you to scoop up some more tokens. And you're actually going to transform that fear into a massive opportunity for you to buy even more if you can produce in the bear market. Just imagine mining some TAO tokens when it's at $200, then just watching it go to 2,000. Whatever you just produced, 10x without you even doing nothing. If you want to produce something in bittensor but you don't know how, I would suggest start a simple Python course by Angela Yu. Understand how to read subnet code on GitHub of these specific subnets. Learn how to properly prompt AI agents to get what you need, the explanations that you need, the simplifications that you need, and most importantly, learn everything about BT CLI commands, terminal, VPSs, private keys, mining key security, things of that nature. I have videos on that. The third mistake, which isn't so obvious, is focusing on crypto too much and not paying attention to your outside cash flow. Whether you have a business, whether you have a job, you're not looking for promotions or you're not looking to have new clients. As an example, for me, I'm a realtor. If TAO goes to an extended bear market, I will probably ramp up the amount of clients I cold call on a daily basis just to get a few houses sold here and there to get me by, to help me float around, to not sell my tokens in the low amounts like we've been saying this whole video. Making money in the bear market is one of the most important components for you to keep your actual bag and not reduce it by 75% by the time everything moons. Because remember, the market is designed to take your money and to be as painful as possible and to steal every little penny from you. The market is not your friend, so you have to be aware and build strategies around how to survive in that market. The ones who make the most amount of money are the ones who are the longest in the actual market. It is very clear what is going on with the price action. We've had in October 2023 an aggressive upwards movement of the price because of the subnets narrative. And afterwards, we've been in a gigantic range for about 2 years now. Every holder that profited maybe a 10 or 20x probably is feeling rich and is selling his TAO because he doesn't have the patience or the long-term view for that asset. And right now, this price action is very normal. It's mainly a 2-year exchange between people that are going to hold it for the next 5 to 10 years and people that are in profits, that are selling, that are satisfied with their upside. And also a lot of miners like on subnet 64 or 62 that receive a lot of emissions tend to dump the token to pay their electricity bills. And if you look at the range low and the green line, in my opinion, this is an area where if we go into the bear market, TAO wouldn't go under that. So in my opinion, between $130 to $200 would be the bear market lows for TAO. And I do not believe that it will stay there for so long. But in the case it does, you need to be prepared with a bit of cash on the sidelines to not be forced to sell your tokens like I mentioned before. And you clearly see my actual cash out target, which is around $2,500 to $3,000 in the bull case. But we obviously need an altcoin season for that. We need Tether to keep printing money. We need Bitcoin dominance to go down. And we need capital to actually rotate from Bitcoin firstly to Ethereum from Ethereum to the top 10s. And after money has rotated from the top 10s into the small caps and the meme coins, we're going to see explosions left and right. And this is where you need to spot the euphoria. And in the times where you least want to sell and you actually feel like a millionaire and you're pulling out your calculator and you're doing TAO price times the number of your tokens, this is probably the strongest indicator. This is probably the strongest indicator as to you actually maybe needing to sell because it is the top. I'm not saying sell everything, but maybe prepare a portion for sale, a mandatory holding portion for life, something. Invent yourself a plan, but you need to have something in mind for both scenarios. Personally, I think we're in a bull market and the alt season is yet to come because we haven't had any top signals actually flashing. Ethereum barely made an all-time high and is down like 50% from its high. We haven't seen any major capital rotation from Bitcoin to Ethereum to the majors and then to the medium caps and then all sorts of altcoins blowing up. We haven't seen that type of euphoria. If you look at any crypto word at the moment on Google Trends, they're all in their all-time lows. So I do not see the euphoria around me. My friends aren't talking about cryptocurrency. I don't see any crypto ads everywhere. And in general, I am a believer that there's going to be even more and more inflation in the economy because, you know, the governments don't manage money so optimally. So in my case, I shelve myself with quality assets like Bitcoin and TAO. That's pretty much it. If you do some basic Googling, there has been some articles claiming that OpenAI ChatGPT is rumored to actually do its initial public offering of shares, and the company is going to be valued at $1 trillion on the public market. If you understand bittensor, you need to understand that OpenAI and ChatGPT are similar to subnet 64 shoots, which is basically an LLM subnet, a large language model subnet that provides inference. And I even tweeted about it. So you have bittensor, which is worth $3 billion and we're in the stealth phase and nobody understands it. OpenAI, which is rumored to be worth $1 trillion instantly just because it IPOs. Most likely because it's ran by Sam Altman. It has hype. Yes, there's a lot of users, but it's mostly brand names. And if you guys know, on this channel, I'm not interested in anything that is not new or doesn't have a lot of upside or is just saturated or even my grandmother uses it. We're here to be trendsetters, to understand new ways to make money that nobody understands yet and to make life-changing money. And that's why I am into bittensor and subnets. I really do believe they are the next altcoins of this crypto cycle. Just take a look at Dogecoin or Shiba or Cardano or XRP. Nobody actually uses them. It's purely hype driven, or they have a brand name, or they have been there for a long time, or Elon Musk tweeted about them. This is the state of crypto and our competitors, guys. Dogecoin has 7 times the market cap of bittensor TAO, and you're telling me that you're scared that we're at $200 or $300. In my opinion, especially with the halving and the institutions actually gobbling up TAO so quickly, like TAO X and Grayscale, because there is actually no reason we are valued less than meme coins at the moment. And I just keep accumulating. That is my mindset at the moment. In my opinion, it is a matter of months, maybe a year before we see 4-digit TAO. So guys, I hope I actually refreshed your mindset with what is going on. I really did my best for me to actually explain you in a simple manner that you shouldn't panic if bittensor TAO stays in the $200 or even $300, because you have so much opportunities if you actually put your head down in books and study this ecosystem, because actually buying subnets or the token isn't the only way to make money in this ecosystem. If you want a direct one-on-one access with me, if you want to pick my brain, ask me questions, get alpha from other people's in the chat, see what subnets I'm buying, things of that nature, link will be in the bio. Hopefully you don't sell your tokens at the worst possible price, and let me know at what price are you going to sell TAO if it reaches X amount of dollars, like 2,000 or 3,000, or if you're a permanent holder, because I'm actually doing a cash out plan that I'm always going to revise maybe month by month to actually have my strategy on top of my mind. In the event that TAO reaches maybe $2,000 or $3,000, I'm going to be ready to pull the trigger, know what to do, not be emotional, and most importantly, not fumble my bags. With that being said, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.